creative continuity. We bring the convention to you.
Al Gann here, creative continuity, C2E2 with Matt Hardy.
What's going on, man? How are you?
What got you started? What got you into wrestling from the beginning? Was just a quick story.
I think my brother and I, once we saw professional wrestling on television, I mean, these guys were living, breathing superheroes. You know, because they were real people. They were out there taking these real chances, like stuntmen, and they were doing these larger-than-life moves, and you know, jumping off the top rope and hitting other people, flying elbows. And
Right.
Macho Man Randy Savage, who was one of my first inspirations, obviously, to wrestle, was just a guy that was just truly larger than life. And I was like, wow, these guys are characters, but they're like superheroes. It's the coolest thing ever. We got to do this.
Yeah,
you know?
right.
And that's how it started.
Okay. Now you guys' agility is out of this world. How'd that come about? Just practicing in the backyard, natural God-given gift, or you guys train?
I mean, Jeff is very special, you know, and I think I was somewhat gifted. You know, I had the ability to be athletic, you know, but Jeff is really an anomaly. The things he can do are things he can do still to this day. He's 37 years old, are utterly amazing. Jeff just is really a when you watch him, he's just really poetry in motion when you watch him do things. And I think we both kind of started by training on a trampoline, then we kind of segued into a real ring, and we learned the way the business worked as far as the fundamentals and the psychology and everything else from the Italian Stallion and George South in Charlotte, North Carolina. And we just slowly worked our way up. And I think with us, we were good when we were in WWE because it was such a slow learning process. A lot of guys just kind of get thrust into that position, aren't really ready for it. We had 5 or 6 years to kind of marinate and kind of own our craft, on smaller shows. So once we got to that environment, we were ready to go.
Well, we always knew when you guys showed on that it was going to be a good match. That was like a guarantee.
Well, that was the plan. I mean, every time Jeff and I went to the ring, we wanted to do something different, something unique, and something creative, because being innovative is where it's at in pro wrestling, especially in 2015.
Now, how taxing was that on your body? I mean, I've seen you guys fall from the top of the cage.
Hugely taxing. I'll be honest, it's amazing that myself and Jeff can still perform at the level that we do right now in 2015. I mean, we've both been doing this for 23 years.
Wow.
And I was with WWE for 13 years straight, and being with them, you're on the road, traveling for 300 days a year globally. Besides just getting beat up and being in the ring, taking 20 hard slams or whatever it is a match, which each one is like a car crash, a small car crash. Besides doing that 300 days a year, I mean, there's the travel. One night you're in North America, the next day you're in Australia, and then you do a tour of that and your time's all messed up. It's just a tough gig all the way around. So now as I've gotten older, I've kind of adapted my schedule to my age, and I understand what works for me so I can perform on this level. I don't have a full-time schedule in me right now, but I can still wrestle a couple times a week and take care of myself the other 5 days and still perform on a high level. And I'm just going to do that as long as I can, as long as I'm having fun.
I can only imagine, like the mental fortitude to just continue on after a tremendous beating of your body and then having to do it again. Is there any days where you kind of felt like, all right, well, I'm just going to do like a light match,
That's almost every day. There's a lot of days where you go in and you work, and then the adrenaline kicks in the next day, and that's kind of what gets you through it. The first thing that stands out in my mind was when we won the tag team titles from Edge and Christian in a cage match.
Right.
And
that was an awesome match.
The next night, we weren't scheduled to wrestle at all. We got to the building, and we had a 3-segment ladder match. And, we'd already set the bar so high for ladder matches, we couldn't go out there and, half-ass it.
Right.
We had to go all the way. And I remember, we could all barely walk. And it was just like our pride and adrenaline that got us through that night. That was one of those nights where we didn't want to wrestle at all. And really, it almost felt like a superhuman effort looking back at it, considering how sore we were early in that day and how beat up our bodies were to actually get through and still produce what we produced that night.
Now, what's it like? Does the screaming fans, that adds to the adrenaline rush?
I mean, absolutely. Once you're in front of a crowd and you hear the cheers and the boos and you hear the oohs and the ahs, that will allow you to do things that you never thought were possible. I mean, the adrenaline and just being in that moment is amazing. It's almost indescribable. It's probably the highest high you could possibly have in many, many ways. And it really does get you through some remarkably painful situations.
Wow. So moving forward, what's Matt Hardy doing now?
Well, currently I'm with Impact Wrestling, and I still believe, even later in the game, that we are the best tag team in the world right now. And we plan to show that every night we go out. We're not reuniting. We didn't reunite for a nostalgia run. We reunited to say, hey, we're still kicking ass, and we're going to be the best team in the business. And we want to face the young guys. We want to face the guys that are up and coming, and we want to go out and we want to have these killer matches week in and week out.
All right, Hal Gant signing off. Matt Hardy.
Thanks for having me. See you soon.
The greatest.